My name is Ibrahim Mahama. I'm from Ghana, the northern part, and I trained as an artist basically at the KNUST in Kumasi, Ghana, and I essentially studied painting as a student, both in my bachelor's, MFA, and PhD. And I'm an artist actually working for the MIF this year. Yeah, so the piece in the Widthworth is titled The Parliament of Ghosts. And it's actually a project I'd been working on 4 years before. I had this idea of collecting all these old materials which had been salvaged from the former railway workshop in Sekandi, and then also collecting archival material from schools and then workshops and then old industrial sites. And the idea was to use the decay and the failure and the crisis which had somehow been absorbed within the system as a starting point to create this kind of a parliament or some kind of a theatrical space that would allow people to reflect upon the space as much as the event that happens within it. So when I was invited to MIF 2 years ago, when I came to see the festival, there was a huge support and also encouragement to just experiment and then create a work that I had never done before. And this was a work that I was thinking about how it would be made collaboratively with other people and other professionals. So I thought it would be quite an interesting idea to bring it to Manchester, because there was also a lot of technical support for it here through like the MIF and also the Widthworth and things like that. I think it's been good because a lot of the materials are wooden materials like cabinets that was historically made of wood that was brought in from England and other places to make those cabinets at the time when the railway was established. So of course we all know the history of the railway in relation to the colonies and then the idea of exploitation of resources and things like that. Of course a lot of the train carriages, the third class seats, were also abandoned at a point when some of the trains were scrapped. So I've collected those, I've collected the cabinets, I've collected cabinets from schools which I generally exchange. I build new ones for the schools and I take the old ones. Books which have been used by school pupils, which are a recording of, like, let's say their daily activities and exercises and all that. I'm mostly interested in the potentials that are embedded within their failures, like trying to answer a question which seems very logical in the real world, whereas a student will give another answer which doesn't. Looking at that kind of a system. And then also some of them are drawings which contain blueprints of drawings, and then also some of the infrastructure that was done, built for the railway in Ghana, archives. And then there's a silo structure which contains this 7-channel film. So that is actually a replica of one of the postmodern buildings that was built in Ghana by Eastern European architects during the Cold War. But in 1966, a lot of those projects were completely abandoned because our first president was more interested in how he could build these infrastructures that could help us to contain some of the commodities like cocoa, which we were building at the time. But it never got realized. So I'm mostly interested in potentials that are embedded within these abandoned structures. So over the years, as I've been doing a lot of research, I have somehow filmed and documented a lot of labor forms and activities. So my aim was somehow to superimpose these labor activities onto the texture of this structure, which somehow also comes from a certain system of crisis. And the last room contains these 10 photographs, which are basically tattoos of collaborators and people I've worked with who have migrated from rural areas to the south, but normally would make tattoos on their bodies, so in case they are dead or anything happens to them out of their context, their bodies can be traced back to their families or things like that. So it represents a certain kind of insecurity also within in the world with regards to the kind of conditions that are created and all that. So I have juxtaposed them on both archival maps and photographs, and then also on parts of trains like the leather and other things, which also make references to the condition of the body. And the last are the 2 paintings which I made in 2012 as a student in school, and it was basically a lot of work pre my practice as an artist, because I was trying to really navigate what this idea of a painting was, so taking objects like the fabric, which have an extensive history to the Industrial Revolution, also within Manchester and everything with the cotton industry, and then taking also like local symbols because through the Industrial Revolution, a lot of industries were established around the world, which also use, let's say, resources actually to produce certain specific fabrics or objects and all that. So I'm interested in this kind of global relations and all that. Yes, that's the point.
Yeah.
Actually, the Parliament of Ghosts, when I conceived of it, it was for a space that I was working on in Ghana, in the northern parts. So I'm hoping that by the end of this year. The reason why I didn't open it first, because I wanted to gather a lot of experience, even just from working on the Manchester Festival. And also, I had promised the Manchester Festival and also the Withwood that the work was going to be the first time premiere. So now that it's done, and then through collaboration with the festival and the architects here to produce the stage and everything, they were also very generous. They gave me all the original drawings, with everything that was designed and built here. So I can now take it back to Ghana, and then I can use that as a new starting point to develop the work there. So I'm interested in this back and forth, these collaborative elements with it.
The power of the exchange.
Yes, exactly.
Wonderful. That's really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.